Oh! Fellow Taoist in 1991 review. Amidst the chaotic battlefield of the Star Tower, a place overflowing with killing intent where myriad races contend, the most terrifying thing is never the enemy who reveals themselves, but the fatal blade from an ally. A miserable roar tears through space. My primordial spirit is under attack. There is an enemy. But alas, that cry for help was not a signal for survival, but the very lure of a perfect killing trap. The three-eyed divine lord, Heaven Array King, a sinister and scheming individual, has officially revealed his fangs. His target is not the foreign races, not the Star Tower, but La Feng himself and the great treasure on his person, the Sacrifice Tower. A pinnacle feigned injury scheme, a trap calculated down to the very breath, has been laid. In episode 195 of Swallowed Star, will La Feng see through conspiracy, or will we fall into a hopeless death ground from which there is no recovery? Right now, let us uncover the heavenly secrets. At the beginning of the episode, an urgent voice echoes, "My primordial spirit is under attack. There is an enemy. Everyone be careful." The one who uttered these words is precisely Heaven Array King, an old monster famous for playing dirty, black heart cruel hand on the cosmic battlefield. This three-eyed fellow is sinister and scheming, his heart unfathomable. This cry for help was nothing more than a lure, a perfect trap aimed at La Feng. Recalling episode 194, La Feng had formed a temporary alliance with Heaven Array King, Chu Wu King, and over 1,000 other mighty figures at the King Limit realm. But the primary target of that old scoundrel Heaven Array was not to seize the sealing star crystal, but to aim for the great treasure on La Feng's person, the Sacrifice Tower. This news had long since shaken the cosmos. If they were outside, that old man might still be wary of the army's heavenly laws, which stipulate that members of the same race cannot slaughter one another. But inside the Star Tower, this place overflowing with killing intent, where dragons and snakes mix, bypassing the all-seeing surveillance is all too easy. As a sole Grandmaster who has reached the pinnacle of King Limit, Heaven Array King's true strength is already approaching the extreme limit level. Even more terrifying, the two-headed evil dragon in the scene is the Crimson Python King of the demon race, also a sole Grandmaster at the pinnacle of King Limit, but its true identity is actually a sole servant of Heaven Array King. Not only that, but Wu Le King, an Extreme Limit King, and another Extreme Limit mighty figure are also puppets under his command. In other words, in this chaotic battle, Heaven Array King had secretly amassed 3 foreign race helpers at the Extreme Limit level. Therefore, he immediately directed Crimson Python King and Wu Le King to attack himself, performing a perfect feigned injury scheme to force La Feng into the encirclement to rescue him. After that, he and his 3 servants would join forces for a one-hit kill. Amidst the surging killing intent, a deep voice rang out. We can only hold back those 2 demon race members for now. The one who spoke was Chu Wu King from the Alliance. He is a true Extreme Limit King, so it was entirely possible for him to hold back 2 demon race members. This was because the demon race squad attacking La Feng's side had a total of 12 members, 6 of whom had reached Extreme Limit combat power, with the remaining 6 at the pinnacle of King Limit. Meanwhile, La Feng's side, even including Heavy Sword King, effectively only had 4 Extreme Limit combatants, and this even included Heaven Array King, who was intentionally acting and not using his full strength. That three-eyed man even pretended to say he could only block Crimson Python King. Therefore, looking at the overall picture, the core fighting strength of La Feng's side was only La Feng himself, Heavy Sword King, and Chu Wu King. As the enemy had the advantage in numbers, La Feng could only join Heavy Sword King to eliminate the 6 Pinnacle King limits at the fastest possible speed, and only then go to rescue Chu Wu King. In the most intense moment of the battle, Hidden Flag King, a Pinnacle King limit expert, perished. At the same time, Chu Wu King was besieged by 4 extreme limit experts from the demon race, about to fall into a desperate situation. He intentionally shouted loudly, "This time, I'm really about to ascend the heavens. I can't hold on anymore. The pain in my soul is getting stronger." Hearing this, La Feng had no choice but to let Heavy Sword King go help him first, while he himself transformed into a streak of light, rushing to rescue the one who was deep in character, acting out a scene of being knocked into the dangerous region below, and had even begun burning his divine body to go all out. The truth is, Heaven Array King was indeed burning his divine body, but not to fight a bloody battle with foreign races, but to prepare to unleash a fatal primordial spirit illusion technique aimed at La Feng. In his eyes, no matter how monstrous La Feng was, he was only at the pinnacle of King Limit. How could he withstand his soul attack after he had burned his divine body? To be even more certain, Heaven Array King also controlled Crimson Python King to attack at the same time. 2 Pinnacle King Limit Soul Grandmasters joining forces. Even an Extreme Limit King could be enslaved, let alone La Feng? Who would have thought? In the very next instant, La Feng relied on his unyielding Tao heart to forcefully shatter the illusion of both and see through the treacherous plot. Thinking of this, he snarled, Coordinating from inside and outside, huh? You old scoundrel. This isn't the first time you pulled this, is it? Very quickly, the two stood facing each other. But because La Feng had taken a risk to save Heaven Array King moments ago, he himself had now fallen into a dangerous situation, about to be knocked into that dangerous region. The so-called dangerous region, which was also explained in detail in the show, is the area below, filled with the chaotic sealing power of the Star Tower itself. Once touched, even an extreme limit king would certainly perish, their soul scattering. Therefore, when Heavy Sword King sensed his master was in danger, he immediately gave up on rescuing Chu Wu King to turn back and protect La Feng. But unfortunately, in the end, Heavy Sword King was still a step too slow. Because Pu Ti had made his move, amidst the void, a great, ancient voice suddenly rang out. The transmission gate has appeared. All of this is absolutely not a coincidence. Child, come here. I have waited for you for 8.2 billion years. As the artifact spirit protecting the Star Tower's inheritance, created by ancestors with Shan Ku, Pu Ti could naturally sense immediately that among the 100,000 king limits, there was one little fellow who met the requirements to become the master. Therefore, when La Feng was about to be knocked into the death ground by Heaven Array King and his cohorts, Pu Ti opened a spatial gate right behind him, helping La Feng luckily escape the fatal calamity by a hair's breadth. In reality, even if Pu Ti hadn't helped, La Feng would have been fine, because at that moment, he was already prepared to self-detonate his strongest fire god origin crystal. Once this object exploded, he could naturally use the explosion's reactive force to leave the dangerous region, and furthermore, with the Sure Wu Wing protecting him, he would certainly be safe and sound. Then again, Pu Ti saying he had waited 8.2 billion years was completely true, because since Wishan could create the Earth lineage, besides La Feng, there had only been 2 other candidates before him in total. La Feng was the third. One can imagine, Pu Ti truly waited until the flowers wilted. Ancestors Wishan could still occasionally roam the universe ocean, but Pu Ti himself, in order to find an heir for his old master, could only let his original body stand guard, while his avatar went out to roam. Therefore, when Pu Ti found La Feng, his voice carried a sense of finding his closest kin. Finding a little junior brother truly was not easy at all. A line between life and death, decided in an instant. Heaven Array King's perfect killing trap has been broken. But this blood feud, how can it possibly be ignored? La Feng has safely entered the inheritance gate, but out there, Chu Wu King and Heavy Sword King are still trapped in a fight to the death. What heaven-shaking secret does the Star Tower's 8.2 billion-year heaven-defying opportunity ultimately hide? Will La Feng undergo a metamorphosis and achieve great mastery of his divine skills? And that old scoundrel Heaven Array, after losing both the bait and the fish, to what extent will his crazy revenge go? Oh, fellow Taoists, the true Great War has only just begun. Leave your prophecies in the discussion Tao section below, comment. Don't forget to channel your spirit power to like and subscribe to 1991 Review so you don't miss the next dramatic sword discussion episode. Farewell and see you again.